Here's the big news from Project Veritas. Exclusive Twitter all-hands meeting from June 16th. The amazing thing is this meeting just happened. And then Project Veritas is like, we had the meeting literally the moment it ended. Leaked video of Elon Musk's address to Twitter employees about essential nature of free speech, voting Republican, and evolving Twitter. Quote, I think it's essential to have free speech, Musk said on the call after describing his affinity for Twitter. He added multiple opinions should exist on Twitter to make sure that we are not sort of driving a narrative. On the call, Musk was asked about his political leanings, his plans for layoffs in the direction of the company. He described himself as moderate, noting that he traditionally has voted Democrat but voted Republican this week for the first time in his life. He also discussed his vision for Twitter, saying that traditional news media is negative and they almost never get it right. He added that bots, spam, and multi-account users must be contained. I think an important goal for Twitter would be to try to include as much of the country, as much of the world as possible. He notes that he's not hung up on titles. He reacted to the news of Project Veritas publishing the recorded meeting on Twitter by posting exactly. In fact, he was responding to Lydia.
That's right. He was. I was so excited. The guy from Project Veritas actually called me. I was in Target picking out a birthday card. And he's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm picking out a birthday card. He's like, oh, so you didn't see that Elon Musk tweeted at you? And I was like, that's so cool. I was freaking out in Target.
So I can only imagine the woke Twitter employees who were lamenting libs of TikTok must be particularly irked having to sit there and listen to Elon Musk be like, I think we should have free speech and put wacky stuff on this platform.
Did Elon Musk not know that it was being recorded? Because if there's one meeting and given the content of what was leaked, you would say certain things knowing that it might be leaked afterwards. Although this is a great thing to always just take for granted. Everyone's recording everything you say at all times so you don't say anything dumb.
Yeah.
Shocking. So shocking that you have Gavin Newsom now looking for the other free speech platform because they support free speech somewhere, just not where they don't want to hear it.
That's so weird, though. It's like, yeah, so that's another story we'll get into, but what's the logic behind opposing free speech or being, California has got a lot of skeletons in its closet pertaining to big tech. It's California. And now it's like, I'm going to go on Truth Social.
I'm just wondering, it's amazing that they leak the meeting right after it's done. But those are some good talking points.
Well,
that Elon Musk.
The odds are Elon Musk is the source.
I think a very big one, especially from the corporate media's response to this, because according to their sources and according to the Twitter Slack, the employees are very angry and they're very pissed off and they don't know how to deal with this larger acquisition, which they have voiced, that they were disappointed with. So Elon Musk just a few days ago even talked about how Twitter is biased against half the country, how they're inactive against death threats against conservatives. He just voted for a conservative for the first time in his life. He also hinted that he's going to be voting for Ron DeSantis in 2024. So obviously, what he said wasn't controversial, but for the people working at Twitter, for the people in San Francisco, for the yuppie Starbucks drinking flip-flop wearing yuppies there, holy cow, their minds are probably going crazy and they're freaking out because this is the reckoning of a big social media platform that's going to change the game.
But this is funny. The Twitter employees are outraged over this. They've been complaining about Elon Musk's takeover. We have the leaked chats where they're talking about banning libs of TikTok. And it's like they don't seem to realize they are the snowflakes in the avalanche of people like Elon Musk voting Republican. It is the actions they have taken with censorship, with their hostility and intolerance, that's resulting in Elon Musk being like, I don't think you're fun, so I'm going to vote for this other guy. I'm going to go read the Babylon Bee. They must be thinking, if only we banned the Babylon Bee, Elon Musk would still vote Democrat.
What's encouraging about it is that clearly not everyone within Twitter is so much on board with the nonsense. And it's a vocal minority who purport to represent the majority. And they're going to find out at one point sooner than later, it's not going to be cool to do this because people are going to want an actual platform that actually just allows people to talk, not in hurtful, violent ways, openly, to share ideas.
I got to say, Truth Social's not bad. So when I ragged on it because when they first launched, I couldn't even get in it. And I was just like, what I mean by that is, I don't think I'm deserving of anything special, but I was reached out. Someone reached out to me and they were like, hey, can we get you on? I was like, sure. And then I couldn't get on. I was like, this is dumb. I don't know what's going on. Like, it's just so disorganized. And then someone had at Timcast and it was like a parody account. And I was like, I didn't care. But then I heard it was like #1 in the App Store. And so I checked and the engagement is crazy. And I was like, whoa, people are on Truth Social and they're having conversations, like more so than Twitter. So I'm thinking to myself, if people use Twitter because the conversation's happening there, but now it's not, and they're just trying to destroy your life because you tweeted a joke or retweeted a joke like Dave Weigel at the Washington Post, yo, you might as well just be on Truth Social or somewhere else. I think Elon sees this. That's why he's desperately trying to salvage this.
Well, Elon made public statements about this. He said that it's the failures of Twitter that led Donald Trump to create Truth Social, that it's bringing people there. And he also makes the argument that censorship is radicalizing individuals, as of course it's pushing people off to further points of the internet. It's now not allowing a real honest discussion. It's making people's views be doubled down on instead of questioned. And that conversation used to happen on Twitter. It's not anymore. And we're seeing, again, just the politicization, this kind of radicalization of people from both political parties that are going further and further from away from each other. And I think that's because of big tech social media.
I think Twitter specifically. I think Twitter created this rage cycle where I knew this guy. I'm not going to say his name. He's a reporter. Normal guy. We used to hang out. One day he replied to Donald Trump. Something like, oh, shut up. And he got like 100 retweets. All of a sudden, he went from having a couple hundred followers to having 1,000 followers. Oh, the dude destroyed his life and career. He became a Trump reply guy. And then he ended up getting, tens of thousands of followers. And I said, yeah, but who's going to hire you now? What are those followers good for? But it felt good. It was an addiction. No, that's it. That's what people did. They drove themselves off a cliff.
No, I don't have a truth handle yet. Maybe I'll have to look. If the engagement and the discussion is there, it's, but I actually, as far as Twitter goes, I enjoy the discussion and the engagement with people with whom I disagree ideologically. It's the amazing thing about sharing ideas and fighting in the political sense.
Well, Gavin's there now, so.
Oh, I still enjoy picking on Gavin on Twitter, but he has yet to recognize me.
You know what I really like doing is I like responding to far leftists, but in agreement. So it's like they'll tweet something that I agree with, and I'll make sure I'm going to respond with an agreement or adding to their point. Because that's my point. I'm like, I don't hate them. You're like, I'm not just going to respond to someone for the sake of being like, you're wrong about that one. I'm going to respond specifically only when I think they're right about something. And then it's funny how their friends react and they're like, no, Tim Pool should not be agreeing with us. And I'm like, well, I do. So do something about it, I guess.
It's the super double reverse cancellation. If you agree with the people, then their friends have to cancel them.
Oh, yeah.
It's a circle of life.
And there's also something I call Bugs Bunnying. You know how Bugs Bunny did the duck season, rabbit season back and forth? You know that bit? Mm-hmm. You know this one? All right, so you got Daffy Duck and you got Bugs Bunny. And Daffy is saying it's rabbit season and pulling the sign off the tree. And then Bugs says it's duck season and pulls the sign off the tree. And Elmer Fudd is standing there like, who am I going to shoot? Because he's a hunter. And then Bugs, at the last minute, flips it and he goes, it's rabbit season. And then Daffy goes, no, it's duck season. And then Bugs goes, if you say so. And then Elmer Fudd shoots Daffy instead. Mm-hmm. So when you agree with them, they have to disagree with you if they're tribalists. So then all of a sudden you'll find these like progressives on the side of the fascists or whatever, because
Robert, do we know, like, is Elon going to get the company for a lesser price? Have they resolved the bot issue yet?
That has not been resolved, and so we'll see. I mean, the question is, what happens to Truth if Elon Musk takes over Twitter and really returns it to its free speech roots? What do you think, Chris?
I think that you have a completely different audience on Truth than you do on Twitter. I think these are completely different, two different audiences, and I don't think there's much overlap in it. So if Elon ever does get a hold of Twitter, I think that audience is already gone, and they're never coming back.
I agree. I think it might be too late. I think the segmentation of these platforms is upon us.
Yeah. I mean, Donald Trump even said if he gets invited back on Twitter, he's not going to come back because he has Truth Social. But there also have been accusations against Truth Social with censorship against people posting January 6th information. That's some of the alleged information coming out within the last couple of days. And there is something, as Barnes, as you brought up, to the larger point of, if Twitter does take over and allow free speech on their platform, people are saying it's predominantly going to affect Donald Trump and Truth Social the most out of all the other platforms.
Well, I think that's where there needs to be, what Rumble is doing is the right way to go, which is to create clear, transparent, open rules. Honestly, Getter kind of didn't, well, I won't be critical of anyone else, just say no one else has created the rules that Rumble is going about creating. Not only creating those rules, but also creating a participatory process whereby consumers and creators can be part of that process. Create rules that can be open source, that can be mimicked and mirrored and copied by Getter, by Truth, by Gab, by anyone else, by Twitter if Elon Musk purchased it. And because these rules are designed to reach a balance between not making it a troll-heavy platform, but at the same time making it as free for speech and expression as possible, that heresy and dissident speech is allowed. And that's what people wanted in the original free and open internet, and Rumble's been taking the lead at creating open, transparent rules to make that a reality.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.